I know. Hello, everybody. Welcome, Taurus, to your May 2020 reading. It's so great to see you. And Apollo here to send a little bit of love here at the beginning. I'm going to put him down so we can chat. I thought I would get started early because I noticed there were a ton of people already chatting, and I wanted to really start to relay all the messages that I've been receiving as well as I was meditating here this morning. So I'd like to say welcome to both the new faces and also anybody that's returning. Especially during this period, I really think it's important for us to show up, to work on ourselves, to try to stay as tuned in as possible. And that's what I'm going to try to help you do today. So I'd like to begin by, first of all, introducing myself. If you're brand new, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Every month I show up and I try to give you a blueprint of all of the possible energies and opportunities available to you. I'm a big proponent of free will, and I think that our reactions to and also our ability to kind of tune into the opportunities around us are what's important. So I'm here to help you decide, basically. The way that I organize readings are as follows. I like to separate it into about 4 major parts. I begin with psychic information, a channeled message, basically, and before I show up today, I'm usually receiving information a couple hours before. And so I try to capture that in a few cards, and I'll relay what I saw, heard, and felt. Then I like to go into a regular Celtic Cross. I've already selected the deck that we'll be working with. And as we go through that, that basically gives you high points, challenges, and opportunities. And then there are particular areas that I know all of us like to focus on, and I expand the forecast afterwards to make sure that we can see those. So that's health, wealth, love, and destiny. As of 2020, I've started to do a second portion, which is soul path work, where we look at bigger things that we can focus on over the course of this year. As we're going through some of the global pandemic and health sort of issues, this is really important because it's what can kind of pull us through some of that. So this month I'm focusing on perception, because sometimes we can see something and it can be deceiving. It looks like it's a disappointment or a block, but it could actually be some sort of a blessing. Back when I used to do weeklies, I would talk about blessings and blocks, and that's what we're going to look at in this latter portion today. And then we'll incorporate a meditation as well into that to help you basically have a breakthrough if possible. All of my readings can be used for your sun, your rising, and your moon if you happen to know all 3 parts of your chart. If not, you can just stick with your birth sign and you'll get everything that you need for by doing that. And because this is live, which is cool, I get to interact with everyone I can see. I've got people from all across the world, which, by the way, it means so much that you guys are taking time today to show up. So thank you. From New York to the UK to different parts of the world, I appreciate it. If you'd like to say hi while I'm doing this, unlike some intuitives, I really don't do pick a card or Q&A, but you can show your support through something called super stickers or super chat. And there's this little icon here that will allow you to send like a sticker. And you saw one of the members did that earlier with like a unicorn. And that's a great way to show support. You can also become a member of the channel, which will help support everything that you see here. I have like 2 or 3 new decks that I got just from the supportive folks like you. All right, I'd also like to give a shout out. There you go. Thank you so much to anybody that does that. By the way, I will give you a special thank you once the video is live. And I do also appreciate all of you that are members or support me on Patreon as well. Ryan and Maria, thank you so much for helping me stay organized. Those are my moderators. Treat them with kindness and respect. They're going to help you if you have a question, and they'll also just keep this room in order while I'm talking. At the very end, I'll also give some information on how you can connect with me over social media, etc. But let's get into the messages. I know that's why you came here today. So I was visited by a lot of my relatives, both in my dreams and also in my meditation. So when you connect with spirit, it can come through as just thoughts in your head. Sometimes you can feel things in your body, kind of like an energy that you need to pay attention to. Sometimes I also see past relatives because they act as guides and messengers. And I had a bunch coming through today. And one of the most memorable messages was from my grandmother who's passed. Actually, all of my grandparents are in spirit, but this was my maternal grandmother. And I saw her sitting at the piano, and she was inviting anybody that would come to basically play with her. And she never really got a chance to learn piano as a human being on the planet, not very well anyway, but it seemed like she had mastered it. She was playing like Moonlight Sonata with perfection. And so the message she was giving to me was to not live vicariously through others, to basically take action in the here, in the now. Don't wait until this sort of window of opportunity has passed. And that's really what's going on right now. There's a cosmic gateway that's opened up for most of us to look at our life and decide, is it working? Do I like what I'm doing? Or can I take this pause, this mandatory pause for many of us, to make some important shifts and changes in my life? So the answer is yes, you should be doing that. And so from my grandmother to you through me here, it's basically don't live vicariously. Don't try. This is really important for parents as well, because a lot of times you will sometimes try to push your child in a path that you wish you had done. So let them find their own voice in their own way. And likewise, if there's something you still want to do, do it yourself, do it for you, and take the time now to do that. If you didn't have someone to support you in the past, or you were sort of pushed into something that you didn't want to do, now as an adult, basically use your power and give yourself a chance to spread your wings. Because I was listening to music in the meditation, there was also a message to just tune into what matters to you. Kind of like fine-tuning any instrument, our intuition takes a little bit of work. I did a bunch of meditations last month. We'll see if there's some more that I want to kind of do this month. I might update a few things like how to connect with the violet flame or things like that. But I think it's important for you to make an appointment with spirit. And basically what I mean by that is maybe once a week, once a day, check in, be quiet, listen to your heart, to your mind, to your spirit, and see what comes up. That's how I get the messages for you. That's how you can get the messages for yourself. In the process, you're going to figure out what it is you want to do. And so when I say find your voice, I'm not just talking about, using your voice. It's actually sort of like point of view. So if you're a creative person, if you're an artist, your voice or your opinion comes through as like, what is the agenda? What is the purpose? What are you trying to evoke in people in your life? As human beings on this planet, we all have a soul path. We'll look at that later today, but get back to that, because I think that one thing that has changed right now for the past month or two, and for some places since last year, because this is kind of a rolling effect that's happening on the world right now, the slowing down. We were in a sort of, it's kind of like we were in a sprint, right? We just kept going faster and faster and faster, but we forgot maybe where we were going, why we were running so fast. We weren't checking in with ourselves to see if it was making us happy. So what happened was, and I guess it's unfortunate with the speed with which it happened. It's kind of like if you pull the parking brake or the brake while you're driving. And what's happening now is we're kind of feeling that effect of, oh my God, we stopped and I'm still trying to move, but now there's nowhere to go. So slow down, and I'm going to have us all take a deep breath before I pull the cards, because I feel like it's important for us to just be present. That's what's happening, and that's why we feel a little dizzy and we feel like there's a little bit of vertigo, because energetically we're still feeling like I got to go faster, but everything slowed us down. So finding your voice may have nothing to do with your throat chakra. I really feel like that's finding your purpose, grounding again. And so we'll do that together today. Finally, because I was getting so much music in the meditation, I was reminded that as I connected with this ancestor, or this relative rather, that sometimes it's better together, right? And I know it's hard because of the distancing, but there's a difference between the physical distancing and then also just being able to socialize, something I highlighted in Aries yesterday. So I'd like you to use things like Zoom, FaceTime, anything where there is sort of a way to connect, and do some collaborations, or at the very least check in with someone, because you may be inspired by their story, their approach to things, their attitude. And I would say connect and collaborate. I probably am missing a word there. And this is going to be something that's inspirational, that will help inform your opinions and your ideas moving forward. So still find a way to connect, but do it without touching. You can do this with technology, because we basically are holding computers in our phones, and there's a great ability to connect. So take advantage of that. Texting isn't the same. You need a voice, you need an image. Texting is very sort of, you lose the context in this. I was hearing voices and music in the meditation, so I think it's important to do a little bit of both. Find a way to connect to that, or at least to listen to your inner voice right now. All right. Let's go ahead now and navigate to the cards. Before we do that, I'd like everybody, I do a meditation at the end, but I want us to kind of slow down, and it's going to help me tune into the cards. So close your eyes for a second. See yourself in a circle of light. Just give yourself gratitude for being present, and feel a sense of calm as you take one deep breath with me. Inhale. Let it go. And let's get started. Okay. At this point, I like to remain quiet. I will rejoin you afterwards and talk about everything that I see. So thank you for allowing me to do that. Again, this is for the month of May 2020, but all the readings now are about 6 weeks out because I do them in advance. So we're getting a little bit of this month and next month too. So the tail end of this month. Interesting. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being patient. Your guides are wordy today because I got a bunch of cards. I was getting duplicates. Well, you saw one literally fly out and then another one stuck. So I observed that if 2 cards want to come through, I'll combine the messages. So I like to begin with a card that I call the catalyst. The catalyst allows me to see connections between everything in front of me. It also gives all of us advice on how to stay on the highest path, how to avoid a pitfall, in other words. So we'll look at the 2 messages here. And basically what we're seeing are 2 different seasons that wanted to pop out. Interesting. So we have autumn and spring, which are basically showing the 2 different ends of the spectrum, right? This is when things are starting to kind of like die down, and this is when things are starting to come to life. And the beautiful message here is it's like the 2 windows of like transformation or death. So when things fall away, we create space for something new. So some of us are experiencing the energy of autumn, which is really about an understanding that maybe the path that we were on, the work, the career that we were doing, the project that we were doing, even a relationship that we were in, it feels like it's starting to kind of like fade away. What you want to do if you're feeling the energy of autumn is, as it said, release the old and rest. And that's what a lot of the world is going through right now, is a forced autumn, whether or not you're in the right season, because here in North America, that's not where we're at right now. It's sort of, we should be going into spring and summer. So this is like an artificial season that we're being pushed through, but it's one that's being kind of thrust upon us, as I said earlier. So if you kind of just allow yourself to take in the energy, this is actually one of my favorite times of the year, because you get a chance to, everything's still beautiful. You see the leaves changing. You can smell even the leaves on the ground. It's kind of weird, but the smell of like the damp earth and the decaying leaves, it's beautiful. And then you see like all of the kind of different flowers that would be kind of going into dormancy there, but you still kind of, it's a beautiful time. There's peace with that. And it also reminds us of what we're going to, like, we'll miss that. Sometimes you have to miss something to appreciate its value. So in this autumn that we're all in, irrespective of which part of the globe we are living in right now, we are getting a chance right now to have some context, some appreciation, and some distance. We may then quickly go into a spring after this, which shows me that, again, there might be some jolting between this sort of lag in time. So that's why I'm trying to encourage everybody to enjoy it. You might actually miss it when it goes away, because then there's going to be a lot of catch up to do as well. After every season, there's another season. So with the spring, we see prosperity, growth, and renewal. So as you let go of something, we see something new coming in, and it says, see your seeds grow. In order to do that, though, you have to sow them now. You have to create, you have to like make something. And I think this is what I was getting to. Don't live vicariously. Start to do some stuff now for yourself. In a typical sort of tarot card, we might see literally something like, Death or Six of Swords here. And this may be something more akin to the Ace of Pentacles, planting something new. Or it could also be the Wheel of Fortune or something like that. But just give yourself a chance to allow for that growth to happen. It doesn't happen overnight. All right, let's get into the cards now. In the center, we have the High Priest. This has been coming up a lot, which is another word for the Hierophant. This is about structure and habits and a schedule and a purpose. So these are things that feel like for some of us, the rug has been pulled out from under, right? Like, especially if you're in a forced lockdown, or if you're working too much because you're a first responder, a doctor, working in a store that's giving people vital supplies, working and delivering packages, all of the various different jobs right now that are amazing and important to our vital survival. So if you're working too much or not enough, it's important to try to create a new schedule for yourself and to be firm with it. So if you're overworking, get the sleep you need. If you're not working enough, or if you're given this opportunity to rest, then create something new for yourself. This is how I do my own business. You'll notice that I don't just kind of randomly show up. I've chosen times. I make a commitment to you, and without some sort of emergency, I'm here for you. So I do the same thing for myself in a given day. There are certain days that I will write. There are certain days that I will see clients. There are certain days that I do this. I make appointments with myself in spirit, so I know how to manage my time and energy. Do the same for yourself. Habits are good. I think it's really important right now for us to have a consistent sleep and wake, and also an eating schedule. So if, again, something has been taken out of the norm, create a new norm for you. Ace of Cups on top of this. This was about the muse that I was talking about. Find your muse, collaborate, do something that's fun. Use that time to find your inner artist and creativity. I think it's really, really important. So with the Ace of Cups, the other thing that I would say is I like that this card is actually in the upright position. For a lot of signs that I've been reading over the past 2 months, I've seen that reversed. So I think that if you create that sense of stability in your life that we saw with the Hierophant, you're going to be more emotionally stable, and you're going to be able to tap into the heart space, which is really important. So, so far I'm looking at the energy of May, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. Okay, these are the overlap weeks that I'm talking about when I look at deep past and recent past. Some of that's going to apply to the here and now since you're tuning in early. So deep past, which would be closer to now, we have the King of Swords in reverse and the Sun in reverse. Okay, first we're going to start with the Sun card. We got two that flipped out of the deck. So the Sun card is really about personal development when it's reversed. And it depends on sort of how I'm reading it. If I'm looking at a general spread, sometimes this can show selfish energy, but based on what I've pulled so far, I feel like this is an investment in oneself. So it's not really a bad thing, particularly when we look at the King of Swords. This was also reversed, but it's showing a flip of strategy. It's so funny. I was talking about this particular card to Aries the other day. This is one of my favorite King of Swords because it shows that you have to get ahead of yourself a little bit in order to be really effective in manifestation. And this is what this time right now is giving you a chance to sit, to pause, to think, and to be like this master chess player here. And again, full disclosure, I have no idea how to play chess, but I know you have to think a few moves ahead, and that's what you're going to do right now. And much like a surprise, and that's what's happened for us. Like there's been a move that we didn't anticipate. That doesn't mean the game is over. It means you have to start to think of the alternatives. So for some of us, it also means that we're being put into, it's kind of like if you watch any science fiction movie, your one reality just went away. Was it Sliding Doors? I think, yes. That was a movie in the 90s where an actress played two different versions of herself, two timelines. And that movie was kind of cycling around a relationship, who she would choose. And was it Gwyneth Paltrow was in that, I think? It's a fun movie. And it was really cool to see how just a few moments, a few choices could completely change someone's trajectory. And so I feel like some of us have had a sliding door shut, and what we saw as where we were headed is gone. But that doesn't mean that the second reality isn't better or might not be more surprising or offer its own blessings. So, and I believe that there are actually many sliding doors. There aren't just two like the movie showed us. We are constantly opening and shutting off dimensional portals and opportunities in our life. So just keep opening new doors. If something's shut, be inventive, be a strategist, open a new door. If you get stuck on what you lost, you don't realize what you have. Four of Cups, right? So you have to look up to that hidden portal, that hidden blessing up there, which you would see in the Four of Cups. And that's what I'm getting with these two cards put together. Eight of Wands. So for many of you, you may still be busy, or you might be feeling like your mind is really going a mile a minute. Find a way to channel that energy if you have a busy mind, but your schedule is free. If you're, like I said, one of those first responders, or you're busy, then it's important for you to realize that it's okay to ask for help, to say no, to take time to take care of yourself as well. Because what we want to avoid right now is not paying attention to an opportunity. And that's the Two of Swords, or being unable to make a decision because of fear. When I look at a lot of swords, actually, it's about fear and anxiety, right? Eight of Swords, Nine of Swords, Two of Swords, all of those cards have this sort of anxious feeling of the unknown, or stress, or feeling like it's overwhelming. With this Two of Swords, I feel like someone is almost dispassionate. They've given up, or they're like, I can't do that, so now I'm just not happy. So the one thing I'd like to encourage is for you to kind of release that feeling that you don't have power, or that something was stolen or taken, at least when it comes to how you can live your life. I think that this is a normal feeling if you have been affected by this in a personal way. Like if you got sick, if someone that you love got sick, if someone died in your life, anybody that feels like something has been sort of like swept away from them. So that is completely a valid feeling of being surprised, or I didn't know this was happening. So there is a surprise element with the Two of Swords because we don't see it. But now you have an awakening here, and you have an opportunity. If you are well, you can choose to kind of use this time and energy to take care of yourself, or to do something, to maybe decide, hey, I want to be one of those first responders, or I want to make masks and give them to people, whatever. You can decide to do something positive with this energy as well. So surprise is definitely something we're all feeling that as we're going into what's going on. But as you calm down, tune in, you're going to also start to be able to pick up on what you can do and what you should do. And for each of us, that path is a little bit different. Four of Wands in reverse. Don't be afraid to lean on people. This is something even I have a hard time with, because a lot of what I do in life is try to help others. And I was talking with an old friend from when I grew up who checked in on me. He's intuitive as well, and meant a lot. We have a hard time sometimes, as if you're a therapist, if you're a tarot reader, if you're a doctor, if you're a teacher, if you're any kind of healer or someone that's there for others, to lean on others. So just do it. It was a great conversation. I felt so much better, and I'm glad that that person came through for me. But it was a lesson, hey, I could pick up the phone too and just say, I need to talk. So if you need to talk, there's nothing, it's a sign of strength, not weakness. So give yourself that opportunity to be there for others the way they have been there for you. Likewise, if for some reason you're noticing that in this kind of lull that certain people have just fallen away, they're not picking up the sort of slack, it could be an indication, one, that they're just having a hard time communicating. It could also be showing their true colors. If the relationship was lopsided, you have a chance right now to try to find if the balance can be achieved, or if this is a sign that maybe this isn't the best relationship or the best investment for you. Because typically Four of Wands, it's one of my favorite cards. It shows that you are supported. You have a firm foundation. That partnership is there. So check in and see, is it just me that needs to pick up the phone? Is there something going on with the other person? What can I do to improve this? And if it falls away, then that's something also that's coming through, because maybe they're ready to move on to, and they're giving you a subtle message. Next, we have the Queen of Pentacles. To me, this is a universal mother, parent, or creation card. It has a very sort of fertile and creative energy to it. Some decks, you'll sometimes see a rabbit on it showing fertility. On this one, we can actually see her holding her belly, which is a sign that if you want to create something in a period when it feels like nothing's working, that's the seed that we see here. So for some of you, this is very symbolic or metaphorical. So the seed that you're planting could be a future project. It could be deciding to go back to school, maybe doing an online training, getting skills and information and readiness, so that when we come out of this autumn and into this spring, we're kind of skipping through the winter and the summer. We're just at the two different binary ends. But when you jump into the active portion of your life again, that you can capitalize on what you've invested in. For the rest of you, this could be, I'm warning some people, and it makes a lot of sense because you're home. This is a card of fertility, and I'm seeing it pop up a lot. So if you're looking to start a family, perfect. If you're not, be aware, and I'll leave it at that. This is also an investment and a resource card. So with that, obviously, it feels like for all of us, we're more concerned about our money. This card is one of empowerment, however. So you have a lot of an ability in your life to control and shift and move that energy. So realize that if there's one flow of revenue that has gone away, see what else you can do. It may not be what you're used to, but there's something here that's coming through, and it's in the ego. The reversal is saying, maybe I need to reimagine or reset what I did before. All right, let's take a look now at what's going on in the environment. This doesn't surprise me because, as I said, if you've started to create that appointment with spirit, it knows how and when to show up, and it's going to show up right now. So a lot of us are receiving more intuition than we have before. This could come in the way of dreams, thoughts, persistent thoughts like I have to do this, or I should call this person, or I need to check in on this, etc. Give yourself permission to try and explore and kind of delve deeper into your intuitive abilities. We also see here, what I saw this card a few months ago and said, it looks like we're in a period of like 3 or 4 months of transition. I think that still holds true as I'm looking at this. So give everything time. It's going to take a little longer than you think. And this card keeps showing up, and it keeps showing up in a position that would read like 3 or 4 months. So that's about on target with what we're hearing right now. So that's the period of time that many of you are going to be in adjustment and shifting and movement. And now as we look at hopes, fears, anxieties, opportunities, we have the 6 of Swords in reverse. So for some of you, it is just the fear of moving away, moving on, losing control of things. It's not necessarily in the reality. It's in that space of in between here in the spread. So the positive aspects of 6 of Swords is release. And the release will allow you to let go of stuff that you don't need. And it makes room for new growth in your life. Just as a tree will lose a leaf, maybe it will even, like a branch will fall down in the winter, something new can grow from that in the spring. So we're going through that period of loss. For some of us, it's mortality, right? And we're afraid of our own sort of, our life. Have we done enough? The reason I saw so many relatives coming through, and it was like, I think 3 or 4 people from my family. I have a lot of people in spirit from my family, but there were more than usual visiting me. And I think it was just a reminder to take advantage of the here and the now. So the one blessing that is coming through with this sort of pandemic right now is it reminds us that tomorrow might be too late to say, I love you, to say, I'm sorry, to do something that matters, to do a creative project, to somehow make a difference in the world. Right here, right now, this is what's important. Don't put it off. Procrastination, no time for that right now. You have all the time in the world to do things for those of you that are not, like I said, busy working. For those of you that are, thank you for putting yourself out there. But for the rest of you, this is a wake-up call that here and now matters. For those of you that are out there and at risk because you have more contact with people, you're even more aware of how precious life is and how even precious and finite your own life might be. So do what you can to embrace that lesson, which is, I can make a difference today. And if it were my last day on the planet, if I looked back at the sum of my time and my deeds, would I be happy with it? You don't have to wait for a life review to do that. If you do it every day before you go to bed and think, am I happy with who I am and what I did? If not, what do I need to do to change that tomorrow? That's going to be really, really important. And grounding is something that I'll help you with today in the meditation when we look at this world card in reverse. It will be okay, but I feel like for many of you, you're being transplanted, transported, shifted. You can move a tree. We see that here in, like I live in Los Angeles, so palm trees are not native to this region. There's one variety, but most of what we see here is imported from another country or state or whatever. So sometimes in California and Las Vegas, you'll see them transplanted and they're wrapped up and everything. And it takes them a while before they kind of grow their roots again. So I want you to realize that when you transport, transplant, and shift your view of who you are, sometimes it takes time to get used to that. When I quit my job in 2015, I actually felt guilty for a few months. I remember hearing the neighbors get up and go to their daily jobs at their corporate entities or wherever they were going. And I thought, I'm missing out on something. But quickly, I felt the liberation and the opportunity associated with not being a part of that anymore. And then I got excited, and then I started doing my own thing, and I never feel guilty anymore. But at the beginning, I felt bad because I was stepping away from what was expected of me. So I want you to give yourself permission right now to have fun, to upend your life a little bit, to pull the roots out and decide, I can do this. I can transplant myself. I'm not stuck in one path anymore. Whenever my book comes out, I actually have a character that kind of transported itself from being a tree to something else. And that was part of the lesson, was that it grew too sort of stuck in its life. So I want you to realize you can be like that. You can transform. And that's the message here. And also remember that just because something looks like there's nothing happening doesn't mean that there isn't. So like if we look at the difference between fall and spring, if you look at a tree and it looks dead, it's actually not dead. It's pushing its roots deeper. It's saving up its energy, and it's drinking all of the melted snow and the rain and everything. There is an illusion right now that everything is done, like that we're never going to get through this. We will get through this, but we have to pass through this to get to this. And there's actually a missing piece, which is winter. And that's really what we're all trying to figure out, is how long is the winter? It's kind of like Game of Thrones. Winter is here. So we're working through winter, and we'll figure that out. We've already been through the autumn for some of us, or again, it's kind of rolling. And I feel like as we get through that, we'll be here to support each other. So the interesting thing for all of us that are doing intuitive work right now, this is one of the most challenging times to read and to be there for people, because this is the only time in my several decades on this planet that I've seen the world so staggered in how it's approaching things. And that even here in the United States, we're acting more like the European Union, because not all states are under lockdown. We have governors and mayors that are making decisions. Our central government is operating at a different pace. So there's a lot of chaos. But one thing that it is unifying us in is that we care about each other. And there's only one race, the human race. There's only one sort of energy, and that's the soul energy here on the planet. So I want you to try to tune into what you can depend on, which is your heart, your soul, and the fact that all of us are here to help and support each other. So this is going to create some big shifts and changes. And the fact that we have a sun and a world card shows me a lot of these changes will take a full year. Forget the 4 months. 4 months is the short term. But it's about a full year that we are kind of transitioning into a change, a shift. But it ended with the world, which portends good things. It wasn't the tower. It wasn't the devil. It wasn't the 10 of swords. It's a new world. And that's basically where we're headed. Okay? Let's expand and look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. So we have light activation, and that's what's coming through in the health area here. So it says, shine your light. Your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear. I agree. This being almost looks like it's angelic or alien to me, especially as the light is kind of washing it out a bit. But we are all sort of another realm, of another plane. Many of us even remember lifetimes not on this planet. What we're realizing right now is this is a chance to wake up. And I've mentioned this image before. It's Dr. Strange. I don't remember the character that did it, but it was the monk that kind of hit Benedict's character on the third eye. And so all of us I keep getting that energy of inertia or momentum or whatever. We're being pushed out of our bodies a little bit to see the world from a different perspective. It's a gift. It doesn't feel good though. It makes us a little bit sick, a little bit feeling like we're not grounded, like we can't get our bearings. But just like that character in the movie, afterwards, he was more powerful, right? So we are going to be stronger after this experience. We just have to get through it. Looking at other cards to give you a little bit of feeling of what's important. Don't go to extremes with eating. The Queen and King of Pentacles, if reversed, can often indicate a dietary imbalance. So our schedules are different. Our metabolism has shifted. If you're not walking as much because you're not allowed to, you have to adjust what you're eating and how often you're eating. So again, with the Hierophant in the center, have a schedule, have a routine, pay attention to what you're putting in your body and also how you're treating your body. I think that's really important, but not overdoing it is important. Maybe even doing 6 smaller meals is important here with the Six of Swords, and just walk away sometimes from the kitchen. So you'll be able to do that as necessary. Otherwise, I actually feel pretty good about what I'm seeing here in front of us. The only thing with the Six of Swords, again, there is a fear of mortality. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace the fact that we're kind of given this view of, yes, life is finite, but I believe we have free will. We have choices. We can really try to affect how much time we have on the planet by living well, treating ourselves well, and just thinking, I'm going to make the most of it. None of us know the exact amount of time. So just know that this is a gift right now to make the best use of the time that's given. I think there's some quote from Lord of the Rings about that. We can only, basically make the best of the time that's given. All right. And as we're looking now at wealth here, we have this feeling of, I don't have control. I'm worried about my finances. They're not as strong as they have been. And we also see a world card with the tree. It's all upside down. And I feel like it's okay to feel like things are flipped. This is giving you a chance to either get stronger in your resolve to go back and do what you did before, or to reimagine it. I think that aside from when we were like, 6, 8, 10 or whatever, trying to figure out what we wanted to do when we grew up, we're not given this chance to daydream. And I'm going to fast forward to the Destiny card, which is a wishbone, make a wish. It's reversed. Notice also how there's 2 pieces to that, two people kind of pulling the wishbone. So I feel like you're not in this alone. You can reach out to people for advice, particularly for those of you that feel like you want to embark on a new path. Speak to a mentor who's already maybe launched a business or gone into a different career, repackaged their skill set and tried something new. There's really sound advice from a mentor in your life. For those of you that are feeling just uncertain, acknowledge that. That's okay. See if there's something that you could do to boost your confidence, whether it's to join an agency, to go back to school, or whatever it is. It feels like there's a need for you to find your grounding and to just sit firmly in that and think, I can do it. I'm going to do it. Make a decision. For some of you, that is walking away from one thing, but you have to decide to walk towards something else. And that's the one thing with the Two of Swords that is missing in that particular deck. Other than that, you only got 1 financial card or 1 resource card, and it was reversed. I get that. We're all in that kind of energy, but I'm not seeing it as a persistent trend here. I think, though, for some of you, you might be needing to walk away from something, or you might have been furloughed or laid off, but there's something else that you can make of that. And I think that's the important thing, is instead of my world is ending, which can be the world reversed, think, what next? Now what? Make it more of a prompt, a question for yourself, and give yourself time to daydream a little bit while we're forced to sit at home and figure things out. All right. One last thing, by the way, for those of you that are just feeling tapped out, this is very much a personal health card, just like I would read if this was the traditional strength card. Take care of yourself. It's important now more than ever to make sure that you're not overdoing it. Sometimes when I read for people and I'll see a card like the 10 of Swords, it can just be a self-imposed exhaustion. And sometimes we don't worry because it could just be, and I say that in a way that we can't say anymore, it could just be a cold, it could just be the flu. We don't want to kind of take our body to that point now. So say no, get some sleep, take care of yourself. It's really important. All right. And if a job doesn't allow you to do that, that's a wake-up call. All right, that's wealth. We're looking now at love. The card is reversed. It makes a lot of sense here because this is a card of isolation. It says distant shores on it. And we can see the interesting thing, the energy in this is very much of the third eye and the crown chakra. So one thing that my friend who's intuitive, that he reminded me, is that we can be together through kind of basically just telepathy or through the heart space. We can connect with those that we love on the planet. So maybe what you and your loved one can do, especially if you're in a different city, is pick a time of the day. It's a great way to work on your intuition, by the way, and meditate at the same time, even if it's just an act of meditating. But you could also send love, or you could try to send a message to one another, a message of hope, of love, of encouragement, And this is a great way to develop your intuitive skills, to deepen your relationship, to stay connected despite the boundaries. Because in the same way that I can talk to a grandparent that hasn't walked on the planet for like 2.5 decades, we can talk to someone on this planet who might be, 2,000 miles apart or 4,000 miles apart. The energy doesn't care about time, space, or distance. Soul energy can always connect. It's the same reason I can go back in time and see a past life sometimes, because in the cosmic sort of sea of things, all of these things exist in the same space, and we just have to kind of call it like a file in a computer. So I want you to get into your metaphysical self and really work on connecting with your loved ones. Feel their energy. They don't have to be right next to you. This is how we can all get a little bit more psychic. I believe that one day that one of the ways that we can explore the universe is through remote viewing a little bit. We could project our consciousness and start to explore. It's a different form of exploration. So let's work on the easier sort of energy right now, which is maybe trying to connect with your mom or your dad, which might be a city away from you or a state away from you or a country away. Anyway, that's what I'm seeing here. And also, as we look at relationships here, many of you have a lot more support than you know. And the Four of Wands is just reminding you that it's okay for you to connect with that. Let's go ahead now and take a look at destiny, which I talked about a little bit. I think some of you are getting a second chance at a wish. And sometimes it takes something, again, falling away for you to be able to see that. And this card was reversed. So I think when I look at this, I'm seeing V for victorious. And I just want you to realize that many of you are going to be able to, there is such a thing as second chances. And sometimes we have to be older, wiser, and experience things like loss or failure or disappointment to really take advantage of something. So this is your window. This is your time. It's good. Just realize that seed that you're planting could take a full year to fully kind of come into fruition. So keep nurturing it. Keep working on it. It's worth the wait. It's worth the ride. Let's go ahead now and review what I just talked about. And then we're going to go into the soul path portion, which is going to focus on perception and being able to maybe like flip the script, something that I talked to Aries about the other day. How can you reinvent yourself? Okay, so let me get all my cards here ready, and we're going to flip the camera down for a second and talk about this. For anybody that has joined late, welcome. This is a good time to join because I'm going to talk about what I just said and then get us ready for the soul portion. And by the way, if you join late or want to rewatch this at any point, it's always available on replay afterwards. Okay, back to my grandmother. What she reminded me was to not live vicariously. And because she was at a piano, one of the things that also comes through with that is that we each march to the beat of our own rhythm, our own drum, our own song. And it takes time to figure out what that is. Just like playing the piano doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time, but do it. Do it here, do it now. Listen to yourself, something that we saw here in the environment. You're receiving a lot of symbols and downloads right now. Take the time to tune out Netflix and tune into your third eye. Netflix has a time and a space, but one thing that it does sometimes is it numbs us. I have it too, so don't worry, but I typically do that at the very end of the day if I'm gonna watch something, and I try to limit the consumption to maybe half an hour, an hour. I'm not gonna sit there and binge for hours and hours. Once in a blue moon, I'll do that with like Stranger Things or something, but it's an every now and then thing, not all the time, because I was talking to a relative actually before I did the reading, and it's kind of like fast food sometimes. It feels good while you do it, but afterwards you're kind of exhausted. So try to limit how much you're doing it and allow the creativity, the energy, and the movement to happen so you're not cheating yourself of an opportunity right now. Find your voice. If you're creative, this is a great time to tap into that and to do something important. And remotely collaborate, whether that's using Zoom or using telepathy, your third eye, I don't care. Work on your psychic skills and try to collaborate with someone as well. We are at two different ends of a spectrum here. And as we start to kind of move through this pandemic, we're going to see people at different points right now. China's coming out of it, but America's going into it. The UK is in the middle of it. Italy's starting to get better. So we're going to be all at different points right now, but we have to support one another. And there may be sort of like, we may go back and forth between these two seasons until we learn our lessons and until we also are healthy. So part of this actually is a cosmic way of waking us up, but it doesn't diminish the stress. It doesn't diminish the loss. It doesn't diminish anything. It helps us, though, to realize that this is part of the end game for all of this, which is abundance, is growth, is being able to start anew. So focus on the rabbit, that energy of growth. Again, I have to say, for those of you that might be trying to start a family, it's great. If you're not, be careful, because I keep getting a lot of symbols of new growth. All right. Create a schedule if you don't have one. Create limits if others are trying to take advantage of you. These things will help keep you healthy. They're going to also help you stay in a sort of mental state that's going to be important for maintaining your energy and your perspective throughout all of this. We have a one-year journey with the sun and the world here. Strategize, think ahead. That's the most important thing with this. For those of you that are busy, again, reach out for help. We see that it's here. For those of you that have an active mind, but not an active schedule, create a new schedule, create your own reality. It's important to make decisions right now. The Two of Swords can sometimes be a card of neglect or ignoring, and that's what we're seeing here, someone walking away. Just be careful with how you enter that energy, because usually there's something that we have to see with the Two of Swords, but there's not always like a clear decision. You're going to have to do what's best for you. Four of Wands reversed. It may be difficult to be removed from those people. They're still there. Their energy is available. Tap into that. Reach out. Talk to somebody. And do it by voice or by some sort of video conferencing. It's important to see or to hear the energy if you can. Yes, things are slowing down financially. Many of you may be experiencing some hardships. This will not last forever. This is a time when you do need to ask for help if you're going through that. Otherwise, it's a chance for those of you that have enough saved up to decide what next, as I said. And especially if you've been laid off, or if there's been some sort of an indefinite sort of sabbatical that's been happening with your work or your school, this is a chance to think, do I still want to do it? Listen to the first thought that comes to mind when you're asking these kinds of questions. High Priestess is showing that you are in a heightened state of intuition. Ultimately, all of this is leading you to a new truth, to a new world. So treat this the same way that an explorer would, and decide to kind of go into this without expectations, with an open eye, with an open heart. As we look at what we need to focus on right now, it's light activation, staying in the highest possible energy, focusing on the possibilities, not the blocks, the blessings, not the blocks. That's your health card. Having, again, a schedule is important, and not overeating is important right now. When we look at wealth here, the important thing is to not get tapped out in your energy, not to feel a sense of a lack of vitality. So if you don't have a schedule, don't feel like you're kind of getting pulled into this feeling of it's never going to get better. If you're too busy, don't get so tapped out that you could actually get ill. Really, it's about just hitting the reset button and giving yourself a chance to dream, as we see here. And when it comes to relationships, yeah, I don't really see new relationships coming in. I think for some of you, it's a chance for you to deepen, to fix, to pay attention to things that you didn't want to see with someone in your life, because the Two of Swords and the Four of Wands, so close to each other, could be a revelation moment. But ultimately, this is a reminder you're not alone. I'm here for you. We're all here together right now. You're not alone. Use this energy to try to reset, to kind of make a stronger tomorrow. All right, I'm going to take another drink here, and we're going to get into the soul path portion, which is going to help with the perception. It's going beyond the May 2020. All right. Let's look at past influences, which could be either a blessing or a block. Ace of Swords. It's really important for you to take an active role in what's going on. This is one of the kind of ultimate cards of creation. So the different aces symbolize different things, but this is an activator card. So a lot of times for me, Ace of Wands can be a thought, an idea, something that might be presented to you, but there's a decision that has to happen. Ace of Pentacles could actually be something in your lap, a resource or an opportunity that you have to do something with as well. Cups is an inspiration. It's an overall sort of feeling. This is showing me that during this period, it's important to be active, especially when it comes to articulating, sharing, creating things. So whether it's physically active or using your voice, as I said earlier, now maybe activating that throat chakra and saying, This is what I need. This is what's important to me. Take action. That would be the message here. So if there's been any sort of inaction, or if you feel like at a certain point I've got this mapped out, then this is the push to get started as we're looking at the next quarter of the year. One last thing. For some of you, there could be someone in your life that's saying no. I want you to kind of go deeper using your third eye and decide, is it a no because they're protecting me, or is it a no because they lack the vision to see that what I want to do is possible? And if it's the latter, if they just can't see what you're doing, do it anyway. So if this is like a dream or a desire or a shift that you need to make in your life, and it's a parent or a partner or a sibling, and they just don't understand you, this is saying, actually, no, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that decision and that sort of initiative in my own life. Thanks for your feedback, but this is my life. Reminds me of that song from the 70s. I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. That's kind of what I get with that. All right. Looking at present opportunities and blessings and blocks here, we have the Three of Cups in reverse. This is a gentle hermit card, which is what we're kind of all forced into. I know a lot of you, particularly if you're maybe in a younger generation and used to a lot of connecting with people, even if you're older and you're missing kind of hanging out with people once a week or whatever, this is telling you to find new ways to hang out, to connect, that are safe, that are smart. But it's also a card of extremes. And so when I see the Queen of Pentacles and the Three of Cups in reverse, eating and drinking, you got to be careful with that. And you also have to be careful with other forms of indulgence. So that could be things like, for some of you, it could be sex, it could be TV, it could be gaming. So everything has a time and a place. Don't let that get in the way of taking action or doing something important. So give yourself that reprieve. You deserve it. I agree, but don't go overboard. Less is more. And that's really what we see with the Hierophant, is a little bit of restraint. And the same thing with the Six of Swords. It's just occasionally walking away, turning things off, tuning things out, and saying, I don't need any more. Enough is enough. And now we have the Knight of Swords in reverse, which is showing that there is only so much that you can push something forward. There is a sort of mandatory pause. So I think do what you can to get everything started. And then remember the energy. We see a lot of golden energy in these cards that are associated with this solar card here in the deep past. And then we also see here the 3 or 4 moons and then the sun coming up after that. So I want to remind many of you that there might be 3 to 4 months that it takes for this next opportunity to start to happen. And then the full fruition, the full sort of growth of that could be 1 year. So you're on a big path and a big journey with this. And I think that it's important for you to listen to yourself. The other thing, going back to perception, as I look at off to the side of what I need to be focusing on for helping you with the soul path, this is gossip. This is pressure, peer pressure. So much as these two cards this can be someone saying no in your life. This can be people judging you for who you are or what you do. This can also be negative speech. So if you are kind of someone that is experiencing pushback, feeling like you're an outsider, or having people out and out criticize you, they should be living their own lives and focusing on themselves. A lot of times this happens when somebody's unhappy and they're not able to kind of do the work. So they project, and it's easier to criticize someone else than to do the work on themselves. So tune into that intention. And again, think, is this, where is it coming from? For yourself, again, focus more inward. And that's really, I almost put parentheses on this. I was going to say tune inward or inwards, because I feel like that's the important thing. And I would say for this, it's like tuning out all of the noise around you, tuning into the voice that is guiding you within. And I think that's going to be really important. So I'm going to write down a couple of things so I remember it during meditation, which I hope you all stick around for, because this is important and a great way to kind of heal yourself. So we're going to focus on tuning into our internal voice. We're going to focus on really feeling like we can move forward and bring in that spring energy of abundance. So we're going to go through the seasons in this meditation and get to springtime energy. And I think that's a great start. And then we'll end it with a wish. Okay. So at this point, I would love everybody to just get into a comfortably seated position. allow yourself to just be present. Let your thoughts kind of fade away and just listen to the sound of my voice. We'll do sound therapy at the end. But in the meantime, let's allow our hearts and our souls to just kind of feel healed and in the presence of light. So close your eyes and maybe see yourself at this beautiful world tree, which we see in this meditation at nighttime. And I want you to lean against that big tree, look up at the stars for a moment, and I want you to feel the support of the earth, the trees, and the stars above you, starting with the earth because that world card was reversed. I want you to feel in this moment that maybe you've never paid attention to this, but there is an energy associated with earth. Sometimes we call it Gaia, whatever you want to call the earth. Just know that it's here. It actually was the first mother, and it's the mother of everybody on this planet. So in this moment, tune into that eternal mother that is there. And if you are someone that doesn't have a living relative right now to support you, or you don't feel that maternal or paternal energy from your mother and father or grandparents, feel the love from the planet and literally connect your heart to the planet and feel it kind of emanate this sense of, I have you, and it does have you. It's supporting you, like hands that are just kind of lifting you up. It gives you a place to sleep, a place to walk, a place to live, air to breathe, and then all the resources that you need to take care of yourself. So feel loved and supported, and say, I love you to the planet as well. Inhale. Push the energy from your heart, beautiful green energy, into the heart of the planet right now. And then feel this beautiful blanket of love as it starts to wrap you with an electromagnetic shield, keeping you safe from fear, from anxiety, from illness, from other people's difficult energy. And I'm feeling an activation in my third chakra, right above my belly button. So for those of you that are mothers or are children dealing with parental issues, give the pain, give the frustration to the planet and just say, I don't need this anymore. And just like a tree that is dropping its leaves, I want us now to go into the fall and let things fall away. Melt into the energy of the tree, become the tree in this meditation. And I want each of the leaves on the tree to represent a painful memory or a difficult passage in your life. Know that as a tree, you're going to be able to lose these things and then come back and grow something new. But in this moment, it's important to let them fall. So if there is a painful memory from childhood, from someone that bullied you, from a parent that said something unkind, from any sort of disappointment that you had as a child, I want you to let it go. Feel the wind moving through your leaves. Feel the chill as winter is coming through, as the fall and the winter is coming through the tree, and let it all go, knowing that it's not the end. It's just a moment. So let the leaves fall. Take a deep breath with the tree. Feel a sense of freedom now as the wind blows away all of this. There's nothing around you. It's just the wood. It's just the trunk. It's just the structure of the tree. And stepping back, using your third eye to kind of remove yourself from the tree, see the structure of the tree, and then also symbolically see the structure of you. Who are you? And I think sometimes we get so kind of distracted by our hair, our clothes, our job, our title, our friends, our money, that we lose track of that structure that we're seeing. So let everything fall away. Let the artifice fall away. And just as the tree has revealed itself to you, look within yourself. Remind yourself, what do you love? What don't you love? Let some of those things you don't love fall away. And now let's start to focus on the act of creation. You look up at the stars for a moment and they're beautiful, but they're so far away and the light is cold. It's hard to kind of connect with them. But thankfully on the horizon, you see the sun starting to rise, a star that is much closer, an energy that's bringing sustenance to you, to the planet, and bringing a sense of sort of like glue or adhesive to this universe that we're in right now, or this galaxy. So I want you now to connect with that solar energy and feel that it is now activating each and every cell in your body. And now through the energy of this tree as well, you're feeling rebirth. So now stretch out, move beyond the structure that was there and start to see new growth poking through the barren tree, and see new, not just leaves, but new branches starting to form. And maybe where something was cut off or lost, see something new, a new direction, a new opportunity open up. And I want you to create some sort of a blossom on this tree as well. So I want all of the branches to be covered in some sort of a blossom. Feel the energy as you're pushing through, as you're creating something new, and allow for this blossom to create some sort of a seed that's going to be carried by the wind to a new destination. So as you are germinating this seed, allow the seed to be a hope, a desire, a feeling of where you want to be in the future. And as the beautiful tangerine, orange, and golden light starts to light up the planet, see the seed being carried off into the horizon. And with it, I want you to plant the hope for tomorrow, for the future. This is your wish. Make it count. I'm going to put some energy into this as we do this part of the meditation, which is the singing bowl. So really allow for your thoughts to become reality, to manifest. And just breathe and see that seed going to its destination. And if you want to, you can even see it take root wherever you want it to. Archangel Raphael, please continue to allow everybody present today to receive a healing long after this reading is finished today. Allow them to plant that seed to see the beautiful energy of their heart space, which is resplendent, which is abundant, which is beautiful green energy. Touch everything that they kind of encounter in their lives. Allow them to have the Midas touch and for their wish to come true. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Feel your consciousness start to come back into your body, traveling through the heart space. Give gratitude to the tree, to the stars, to the earth, to yourself for being present. And open your eyes on the next exhale. And welcome back, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed today's meditation, today's reading, and that you realize that, yes, we're in the midst of change, but change can be exciting. Yes, sometimes there's a period of uncertainty, of shifting, but this allows us to create something new. So take advantage of this. We're not given this opportunity all the time, and know that you're not alone, okay? Thank you so much for being present today. Just a few quick notes here. I like to save them until the end because there's so much to talk about at the beginning. First and foremost, thank you to everybody that was kind enough to give a super chat or super sticker today. A lot of the cards that you saw here, including this deck, which I love. It's a new one by Kyle Gray, or it's new to me anyway. I was able to purchase through your kindness, so thank you so much. Again, if you want to do that while I'm talking, you can do that here. Anytime you do that, again, it supports the channel with your kindness. I'd love for you to connect with me on social media if you haven't already. My username on YouTube is the same as Facebook and Patreon, which is just Nicholas Ashbaugh. So feel free to like my Facebook page. If you want to join me on Patreon, there's an option there, of course, to give $1 a month to support what you see here. That's optional, but it's a great way to give back. You can also click the join button here. And again, that just goes into helping me set up supplies and pay the electric bills like everyone else. So I thank you for doing that. On Instagram, I use stories as a way to remind people of what's coming forward. And occasionally I post some cute pictures of Apollo. He's currently hiding under the chair right now. When I meditate, he likes to go into a safe space, but great way to keep in touch. On Twitter, I usually will give you a reminder at least the day before of what's coming through. a couple days before if I can as well. So feel free to join me on Twitter. It's Ashbaugh. My official website is myname.com, which is nicholasashbaugh.com. My moderators have been kind enough to put that link out a few times. It'll also be listed in the video. And in the video, by the way, I forget to mention this since I've gone live. About half an hour after it's available to everybody, I will put links in there that will help you find how to connect with me on social media, how to book an appointment, all that jazz. So you can click on the video, whether you're on mobile or on the website, and it's all there. And finally, for those of you that prefer PayPal, you can go to paypal.me, and it's Nicholas Ashbaugh. All of this is on my website. So if you can't remember how to spell my name, just go to the website. It's better. And all of this is also on the About page here on YouTube. So you can just go to my main channel page, click About, and there's a ton of links. So it's all there. I know a lot of times people ask me where to find all of it. It's actually all here on YouTube as well. So thank you, everybody, especially, again, Ryan and Maria, for keeping everything organized today. For all of my members, always nice to see the green names there, know who's supporting me, and everyone from Patreon whose name I remember as well. For those of you that are brand new, I hope you enjoyed today. I try to do something a little bit different than a lot of the readers out there. I don't think a lot are incorporating meditation or sound therapy into tarot reading, but I think it's important. We have to slow down. We have to kind of integrate the messages. So I hope you enjoyed what you received here. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Remember the strength card here. You have more strength to get through this than you might imagine. That was something I neglected to say. The other thing is, don't force anything. Everything happens in the right time for the right reason. So that's my final message to you. Lots of love, lots of gratitude. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again later this week for the next reading. I see clients the next 2 days, but I'll be back on Thursday. Okay. Until then, be well, and I'll talk to you real soon. Thank you.